You're listening to Live from the Heartland. I'm Michael James. I'm talking to Dan Dale. We're talking about Honduras. Dan, we have a few more minutes left in this segment of Live from the Heartland. Was there any resistance to the repression on the part of any military brigades or anything, or was it totally unified? I know there was some hope that that would break open.
Yes, this was one of the. There were a couple of cuartels or bases, one particular on the Atlantic coast, which refused to leave its barracks and repressed the local community during the coup. The commander was removed, so that the hope of some break division within the Honduran military that seemed to be developing initially, they quickly removed those commanders that didn't support the coup d'etat, who wanted to follow their obligations to the Constitution and democracy, were quickly removed, and the military has now been unified. And to say that the leadership of the Honduran military, trained at the U.S. Army School of the Americas, the SOA, that this is the military that has been our most loyal agent for the repression of the poor in Central America. So that, and this military, the commander of the military and the Air Force, both graduates, and both came back to be instructors at the U.S. Army School of the Americas.
Are there any signs of hope for our final question?
Well, I think that the strength of the resistance.
Or let me put it another way. Signs of hope. I really want to know. Do you think this is kind of a practice run for the right, both in how they organize here in the United States and through the Southern Command, and in our attempts to kind of roll back with a seeming rising tide of progressive change in Latin America?
This is a laboratory for the United States and the right wing throughout Latin America to see what tools can they use, including military coup d'etat and militarism, to stop the progressive popular democracy movements throughout Latin America. And this issue of a new social contract, a new constituyente, is the means that Latin America is using to bring systematic change. And they used a military coup to stop it in Honduras. Can they do it in Paraguay? Can they roll back in other countries? This is an experiment. But there are signs of hope that the resistance movement, the assessment by the military and the oligarchy and the U.S. State Department was that they would not last more than a week. And they have maintained themselves in a unity and strength and that they never experienced. And they have surprised themselves with their strength, so that the signs of hope of a strong resistance movement, of a unified social movement that will not give up its quest for a new social contract, a new constituyente, a new Honduras, will not be quelled. And the role of women, and the LGBT community, and youth in this movement is a sign of hope for all of Central America. And when in both numbers and leadership, the role of women and feministas en la resistencia, mujeres en resistencia, this is an incredible sign of hope for the long-term change that Latin America is struggling to birth.
Dan Dale, I want to thank you so much for coming on Live from the Heartland. It's always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure
I think
to be
you
here,
were
Michael.
on once before.
Yes,
you had just come back from Cuba years ago.
Yes, Cuba, and then you also had me on here when I came back from Colombia. And I go with Christian Peacemaker teams annually to Colombia, to communities that are displaced and suffer repression from the Colombian military. So,
well, you do great work,
thank you,
both in Latin America and here in Chicago.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Is there a way
with you,
people can contact you or check out a website?
Absolutely. You can check out WAUCC.org. Is our website, Wellington Avenue, United Church of Christ, 615 West Wellington in the Lakeview neighborhood. Come on by. There are always good opportunities for
it's a great
discussion
place.
and
We used
activities.
To have old Rising Up Angry meetings
Absolutely,
there in the
absolutely.
very old days.
All right, Michael. Good to be with you.
Thanks so much.
Okay.